Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, good day to you. Welcome to Bayou Sports Talk here down in the Bayou of Louisiana, baby. We have some great topics that we're going to dive into today. So we're going to go ahead and get started with Ray. Holla at him, Ray.
Look, y'all know back to back on the show to to give y'all my takes for the topics that we're gonna discuss today. So tune in.
All right, Coach, holla at him.
It's me. It's me, Coach 67 Sports TV. Shout out to the awesome and amazing LDBC, Lions Den Boston community. Shout out to the greatest university in the world, the Southern University, home of the mighty Jaguars. Jaguar Nation, salute to y'all. Stand up. We looking forward to giving y'all a great episode of Bayou Sports Talk today. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride. Yeah, dig?
All right, we're going to dive into some boxing to start off. So, Coach, go ahead. Tell me what you got for us with some Garcia and with some Tyson. What's up?
Well, first and foremost, this past Wednesday, Ryan Garcia, his B sample came back positive. So he tested positive for nandrolone and ostarine. I don't think the nandrolone showed up. However, ostarine is a masking agent. If you use PEDs, basically you use that to cover up any other performance enhancing drugs that you may be using. So, it's official. Of course, Bill and Devin Haney, they already filed a lawsuit against Ryan Garcia. And to me, in this particular scenario, the thing that I find the most amusing, amazing, and disgusting all at the same time is the fact that you have individuals coming to Ryan Garcia's defense. Just to use an analogy, a lot of time a woman or a female that's exceptionally or extremely beautiful, she gets the benefit of the doubt and there's no accountability for her actions. Basically, she can do whatever and say whatever she wants without no real consequences, ramifications, and repercussions. And it seems to be that way with Ryan Garcia because you have so many people coming to Ryan Garcia's defense. And the ironic thing about it is a lot of these individuals are black. And in addition to that, a lot of these individuals are boxers. So the fact that all these individuals are cool and okay with Ryan Garcia, basically cheating Devin Haney and trying to severely injure him, hurt him, or end his career, to me, I find absolutely disgusting. And on top of that, they just making it seem like it's no big deal. Like the ridiculous and crazy things he said in the lead up to the fight. And a lot of people are pandering to Ryan Garcia to come into his defense. Now, the thing that I find ironic is because if you reverse the roles, if Devin Haney said all the ridiculous things that Ryan Garcia said in the build up and lead up to the fight, and had he came in 3 pounds overweight and tested positive for performing enhancing drugs, I promise you they would try to crucify Devin Haney. And on the flip side, Ryan Garcia would be such a victim, and basically, just to kind of be blunt, Devin Haney would be the scum of the earth and he would be an evil individual. But yet you reverse the roles, and many individuals, black and boxers, are coming to Ryan Garcia's defense. I find that absolutely shameful and disgusting. I mean, it's just crazy to me. It's nonsense. I mean, don't get me wrong. I understand a lot of these YouTubers that's doing this. I understand they're trying to pander to certain individuals. They're trying to get their likes up. They're trying to get their views up. They're trying to appeal to a certain fan base. But at the end of the day, when you're not talking about Ryan Garcia, one of the fighters that they really like, they're not gonna support your channel. To me personally, if I have to do that, for me to get to where need to be as a YouTube YouTuber and a content creator, I'm not gonna make it because me personally, I have to stand on my square. I have to stick to my morals, my principles, and what I believe in. So to me, that's insane. So it's sad how these individuals are just, you know, just pandering around Garcia and his fan base. Then of course, next today we got the big fight between Logan Paul and Tyson. And if Tyson is a fraction of what he used to be, he's gonna savagely stop and knock out Logan Paul. But it's too many unknown variables for this fight for me to give an actual legitimate prediction. Is Logan Paul, is the age advantage too much in his favor? Is Mike Tyson too old and too over the hill? Or is being a professional athlete really gonna mean something? And he gonna brutally and savagely knock out Logan Paul? Time will tell. And of course, last week, Alexander Usyk defeated the Gypsy Queen, Tyson Fury, to become the undisputed heavyweight champion. But the IBF is going to strip him, which is ridiculous to me. You do all this work to get an undisputed champion, and all the sanctioning bodies, they don't want that. And as a result, I think the IBF is getting ready to strip him sooner rather than later, like the next few days or so. To me, it's crazy. But to me, it kind of goes to show you that Tyson Fury, the version of Tyson Fury that we saw in the second and third fight against Deontay Wilder, that version of Tyson Fury no longer that version of him no longer exists. So to me, it's obvious and apparent that he cheated the champ, and basically he cheated Wilder, and a lot of individuals had a hand to play in him cheating Wilder, because where was this incredible knockout power when he faced Francis Ngannou? What was this incredible knockout power when he fought against Usyk last week? So to me, it's crazy. And then the last boxing topic we got, Sebastian Fundora. He won two of those 154 junior middleweight championships when he defeated Tim Tszyu, and he was obligated to fight. Not obligated, but he was basically, his mandatory was Terrence Crawford. Terrence Crawford is going to fight another champion, Macklemore. And as a result, since they're both PBC fighters, Sebastian Fundora is going to fight Errol Spence Jr., I think, in September, October, something along those lines. To me, this is an extremely dangerous fight for Errol Spence Jr., considering the punishment he took in the fight against Terrence Crawford. And then in addition to that, by the time the fight is going to actually roll around, he's going to have like an extremely long layoff. And a fighter is tall as Sebastian Fundora, because Sebastian Fundora is like 6'6", 6'7". Someone as tall as him, someone that really could crack like him. To me, it's a dangerous comeback fight. And he even said, like, hey, this could potentially be his last fight, I guess, if he doesn't win. To me, I think it's, he said he doesn't believe in tune-up fights. It's obvious he doesn't believe in them. But when you've suffered your first loss and you've been out the ring for that amount of time, I think it's imperative that you take a tune-up fight. Guess he doesn't believe in them. It's a dangerous fight. So if Crawford and Spence are both successful in their 154 junior middleweight championship fights, then we could potentially have a rematch down the line. But we'll see. But that's all I have in terms of the topics for boxing for this particular portion of the show.
Okay, Ray, any rebuttals, any response to what Coach Jess spoke about?
The fight is with Jake Paul, not Logan Paul. I know you probably meant to say Jake, but you said Logan. And the fight is July the 20th, so it's like 2 months from now. But As
Oh, my
far
bad
as
on that. The reason I'm saying that because I forgot I got it mixed up because uh, Logan Paul is wrestling against uh, Cody Rhodes today for the WWE Championship. So I got those two events mixed up.
yeah, um, so I know it got an upcoming fight with Deontay Wilder and Big Bang Zhang. So,
Yeah.
but like for me personally, it's no big boxing matches. Like there is boxing that's on today, but boxing matches that I would consider like very interesting. None come on today, in in my personal opinion, that I'm really interested in. Other people might find it interesting, but the next big boxing match doesn't happen until June 1st, which is next weekend, next Saturday. With Deontay Wilder and Zhang. So that's a boxing match that I'm looking forward to. Last time I seen Deontay Wilder was when he lost to I keep forgetting this guy's name. The
Joseph
guy,
Parker.
yeah, Joseph Park. He's from the UK, right?
That is correct. Yes.
Yeah.
No,
So
no, 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 no. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. He's a
Australia.
New Zealander.
Oh yeah, New Zealand and Australia. So yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. All right, all right, all right.
So yeah, that was the last time I seen Deontay Wilder fight. So I'm curious to see how he bounces back. Joseph Parker recently fought Zhang too. So um and he beat Zhang as well.
Yeah, that's the last two opponents he beat.
Right. So it's so it's it's not like you want to watch when Wilder fought Parker and when Zhang fought Parker and figure out that's how they're gonna fight each other, because they both was fighting Parker. So you don't fight everybody the same. Everybody don't match up the same. You don't match up the same against everyone. So I'm curious to see how Deontay Wilder comes out against Zhang. I'm hoping he comes out more aggressive. We know that he's not a natural boxer, but he is a natural puncher. He has a natural punching power. So I'm curious to see how he comes out. If he's swinging for the gates, or if he just takes this more this more technical approach. So I'm curious to see how that fight pans out. Um, as far as the Ryan Garcia news, I kind of been tuning out of it, here and there, because I'm like, it don't make no sense. Like you said, his stuff came back, his results came back positive. So dude not about to fight nobody for a year. So I'm probably about to just not even pay attention to him for, a good little minute, since he not really about to be fighting anyone. As far as Earl Spence, taking a fight, his next fight. Just curious to see him after, like you were saying, he took his first loss, then stay out of the ring for a while. Most people would assume that he would take a tune-up fight, but I guess he considered himself to be a real one, I guess, and he just want to hop right back into the fire, I guess you would consider it. So just eager to see how, the top fighters, our favorite fighter. I don't want to say favorite, but like the fighters that we're intrigued about the most, see how they pan out. Um, and another great fight that I'm looking forward to that's coming up as well is Javante Davis and Frank Martin. Personally, the reason why I feel like this fight will be a good fight is because just listening to the interview that Javante did with Gilly and Frank Martin was on that, it seems like Javante is like underestimating Frank Martin, and I feel like as a competitor overall, you never supposed to underestimate your opponent, no matter what their resume may be. So I'm just looking forward to that, because if Tank does go in there with he goes in there underestimating Frank Martin, and the things that he could do. It could possibly be a very tough fight, for Javante. And we know the type of fighter that Javante is. He's more of a counter striker. He does get hit. So that's the thing, he he Javante, I don't want to say you haven't seen his chin tested or like him battle tested, but I feel like this fight will be a fight that's gonna test him more than his fight with Ryan Garcia. Um, and I noticed during the interview he was telling Frank Martin like you're too swole. And that's the thing for people who don't know any that for people who don't kind of really realize this about body science, the more muscle you have on you, the easier it is for you to fatigue because your muscle uses a lot of oxygen. So I don't know, for some strange reason I have a feeling that Javante Davis is underestimating Frank Martin, and I feel like that's gonna bite him in the in the back or bite him in the butt, the time of the fight. But that's all I have.
Well, just to kind of rebut with you a few of the things, points you made in terms of next upcoming fight. Of course, today Jack Catterall and Josh Taylor they fight. They both. Uh, well, Josh Taylor he was the former undisputed 140-pound champion, junior welterweight champion. The last time they fought for undisputed. Josh Taylor was the champion. Uh, Myself and most individuals felt that, like, Jack Catterall got robbed in that particular fight. So it's going to be a rematch of that fight. And I know, unless you're a hardcore boxing fan, most boxing fans wouldn't know that. I really could care less. But that's the fight that's today. In terms of what you were saying about our favorite fighters, you might not say it, but I would. My favorite fighters are, I'm not bashful about this. Wilder, Spence, Haney. I like Regis too because he's a hometown guy, but I kind of been disappointed in some of the things he's been saying recently. But even with that being said, he's still my guy. So those kind of like my four favorite fighters in the sport of boxing. That's why I really wasn't too eager to see the fight. Those are two of my guys. But in response to what you were saying about Wilder, of course, shout out to the General, 78 Sports TV. Recently, he had Wilder do an interview with him, and basically he talked about his upcoming fight against Zane. He was saying that he's looking forward to getting back to the guy that he is, and we know him to be. So he said this has been like one of the best training camps he's had in a while. And in addition to that, basically he's just looking forward to getting a big win because from what I'm understanding, even though it's not official, that Turkey Al Sheikh, if he's against successful against Big Bang Zang, which I expect him to be, the next potential opponent could be Jared Big Baby Anderson. So, first we need Champ, to stop Zhang and get beyond him to get, to the next potential big fight. Hopefully he'll get a chance to fight Usyk or whoever the undisputed champion is down the line. In addition to that, in terms of Spence, uh, you right. I get, he made it clear that he doesn't believe in tune-ups, but under these circumstances, uh, I think that's a bad idea. You've been out the ring. By the time this fight rolls around, it's gonna be like 13 months. He's gonna potentially be out the ring, and then you got savagely beat up during the course of the fight. So to me, I think it's a bad move. Even though, Fundora, he's not an unbeatable fighter, but he is exceptionally tall for a junior middleweight. He's 6'7", and you would think somebody with that height and those dimensions would be an outboxer, but he likes to bang. Like I said in the past, I think he has vision issues, and I think the reason why he tries to get up close on his opponents is to, feel his opponent instead of actually see him, if that makes sense. But even with that being said, he's been stopped. Fundora's been stopped once, so if Spence could catch Fundora coming in or him coming in, he could stop Fundora. But if you don't get Fundora out there early, it's going to be a long fight, and you took a lot of punishment, and you have a long layoff. On top of that, to me, that's a bad combination of things. to jump straight into the deep water. And lastly, I forgot, and I didn't even mention this, he's moving up a weight division. So those are a lot of things to take into consideration, for this fight with Fundora. I make him a slight favor over Fundora, but truthfully speaking, under the circumstances, it's gonna be a tough hill to climb in that regard. Now, in regards to Frank Martin and Tank Davis, truthfully speaking, I hope I hope Frank Martin stops Tank. I've been rocking with Tank a long time. Him, Shakur, Ryan Garcia, these type of fighters, even though they are talented in the ring, their character outside of the ring does not align with what I would deem to be good character. And the fact that he's supporting Ryan Garcia in him cheating Devin Haney, it's sad that you have this much disdain for Devin Haney. All Devin Haney wanted to do was fight Tank to see who's the better fighter. And to me, he's taking it personally. And it's sad the fact that you going to these lengths to put down Devin Haney and support Ryan Garcia. And more than anything, this is a Floyd Mayweather Jr. move. He's doing this to make his win against Ryan Garcia look better. That's all it really is. So since he tested positive, it should be a 2-year ban in all actuality. But I don't think it's going to be a 2-year ban because Ryan Garcia is an extremely popular fighter. They might hit him with 6 months or a year, but it should be at least 2 years in my opinion. They should heavily penalize him in terms of his purse, hit him in his pocketbook. But I don't think they're going to fine him too heavily. But, in this particular scenario, when you're popular and you have a following, it really doesn't matter. You really don't get the full effect. Just like when Canelo popped dirty. Canelo was only banned for 6 months. And essentially, even if you fight twice a year, that's only every 6 months anyway. So at the end of the day, it really was no real punishment. So, these are some of the issues we have in the sport of boxing. That's why the Paul brothers could just jump in and become, make top fighter money, make just as much as the elite fighters in the sport of boxing. Because sport of boxing, there's no code, no code of conduct. The fans, they're more fans of an individual as opposed to the actual sport. And basically, that's why I kind of push my channel away from boxing because the sport of boxing is disgusting as far as I'm concerned. You know, Outside of those 4 fighters, I really don't really rock with too many fighters in the sport of boxing. Go back to UK.
Okay, guys. Well, let's move on to the NBA. We know the playoffs are going on, and boy, the Dallas Mavericks, they're doing their thing. So let's start off with you, Ray. What are your thoughts? Because they won by 1 point last night. What are your thoughts?
Man, I didn't think it was gonna really be this much of a battle. Um, I know earlier in the season we were saying like Boston was it was either the Bucks or Boston. Then once Giannis got hurt, and I figured the Bucks was gonna end up losing, and they did, and Celtics, pretty much, I feel like the Celtics gonna take it all. Like they gonna go to the finals and they gonna win. So me personally, it really doesn't matter who comes out the West because I have the Celtics winning everything. I got the Jason Tatum and Jalen Brown, the J&J duo, finally getting their first ring together. Now I feel like this should have been like at least their second ring. Um, they will be pursuing. But yeah, as far as like the Mavs and the Timberwolves series, I thought it would be more. I honestly thought it would be the other way around because when you look at the Timberwolves matchup against the Mavs, they got more of a complete team. You got Rudy Gobert and Karl Anthony Towns, and it's like, in my opinion, you should be winning the board. I do something that coach says a lot. I do notice that Karl Anthony Towns, cat, he likes to play outside in the perimeter a lot, and just shoot threes. And I mean, he could make them, but it's like, bro, they need you on the inside. You hear me? But yeah, I remember the first game, Kyrie had Ant tired. Like he was gassed. You know what I'm saying? Just chasing around Kyrie. But man, for some strange reason, I haven't given up hope on the Timberwolves. I still feel like they're gonna pull this series out. They're gonna, they're gonna find an answer. Charles Barkley said, just pretty much what it is. He said once you watch the first two games and like it's like the same thing, like that's pretty much what the matchup is. But I'm like, okay. But my thing is, you said that you could have said that about the Timberwolves and the Nuggets because the Wolves won the first, I believe if I'm correct, the Wolves won the first two games at Denver, and then they came back and won the next two games. Denver came back and won the next two games
No,
in
Denver came back
Minnesota.
on the next 3 games.
Oh, they came back, yeah, won the next three games. And that's the thing. So it's like I'm looking at it the same way. Just because Charles Barkley, just because the Mavs won the first two, don't mean that the Mavs about to sweep the Timberwolves. I feel like the Timberwolves is a way better team than that. Then we all could see like once Ant-Man gets going, people low key like comparing him not to Michael Jordan, but like to that phase of Michael Jordan in the playoffs where he's like this fierce competitor. And it's almost like, man, I didn't watch Michael Jordan grow up, but if I could imagine how Michael Jordan was in the playoffs, like being that fierce competitor that he was, I feel like it would be like how Ant is playing right now, where like he's making key shots. He's not running away from the pressure in the fourth quarter, and he talking that talk like, man, Ant make a shot, and then like the camera was zooming on him, and he'd be talking smash, and he'd be like, can't stop me and stuff like that. It just give me that fierce competitive vibe, that I would assume that Michael Jordan would have had if I was around. I was around during Michael Jordan time, but like during prime Jordan, if I was around during prime Jordan, I feel like that's how it would have been. But yeah, I feel like the Timberwolves gonna end up winning this series, and I really want to see Ant, you know, play against the Celtics in the finals because I feel like that would be more of a entertaining finals matchup. It would be more competitive because I feel like if the Celtics play the Mavs in the finals, I feel like it's gonna be a lopsided bubble. That's it.
Coach, what are your thoughts on the
Hello?
playoffs? Okay, I think we lost Coach, but Ray, I I'm eager to see where where this lands Dallas. If they will be contenders for the championship, if they will even win the championship. So so we have Coach back. Coach, what are your thoughts on the playoffs?
Well, in terms of the Celtics and the Pacers, I feel like if the Pacers, if they don't have Tyrese Halliburton for the rest of this series, I think it's pretty much a done deal. I think Boston is going to definitely go to the NBA Finals. In terms of the Timberwolves and the Mavs, coming into the series, I expect it to be like a 6 or 7 game series. I expected it to be a long series. Uh, I'm not going to just write the Timberwolves, kind of like King Ray said. I'm not going to write them off just yet. However, I think the issue with this particular matchup with them is the fact that Rudy Gobert, he's the defensive player of the year, but it's a bad matchup for him in this regard from the standpoint of the Timberwolves like to switch a lot of pick and rolls. So when you get in pick and roll scenarios, if he has to try to switch on Luka or Kyrie, it's a bad matchup for him. And not only that, they like to play what we call drop coverage, meaning like if King Ray and I on defense and I'm on the ball, instead of us just switching, if they set if he's the guard, no, in fact we're gonna switch it. He's the on ball defender. He's a guard, and I'm a big. Instead of me like hard hedging and doubling, trapping and returning to my man, uh, some type of situation where he would try to go under or fight over the top of the screen. Basically, I would just lay back, and that drop coverage is it's a matchup nightmare for the the Timberwolves. And then on top of that, you know, Ant-Man, he did his thing. You know, everybody comparing him to like MJ Kobe. To me, I think He's more along the lines of a Dwayne Wade. I think he's like D Wade, except he's a better jump shooter than Wade. But other than that, I think he is a Dwayne Wade type game. He does have like Jordan type mentality when he brings his A game, but I don't think he's on that Jordan level yet. So I think we just kind of, I think it's a good comparison, but I think we kind of need to let him establish his own identity. And, a lot of individuals have been comparing him to MJ, like the 88 version of MJ. The prime to me, MJ in his prime was in, the early to late 90s. And I saw MJ, to me, I think he's more D Wade than MJ. But overall, they have to win the next couple games, or the next few games really, to get back in this series. Uh, I think the Mavericks are probably gonna pull it out. Now, I said the Nuggets were my favorite coming into the playoffs. If they didn't win, I felt like the Celtics were like the next favorite. But I think for the Celtics to win it all, especially if they play against the especially if they play against the Timberwolves. But I think the Timberwolves are the Mavericks. I think they need to get the unicorn Kristaps Porzingis healthy if they're going to be able to get over the top and win the championship. I mean, I think all the perimeter pieces are in place. Al Horford, he a veteran. He done made a lot of deep playoff runs with the Celtics. But I think it's going to be imperative that Kristaps Porzingis get back healthy for the Celtics to win it all. But in these two series, I expect the Mavericks to win it maybe in 6 games, and I expect the Celtics to potentially sweep the Pacers, and I think the Celtics are going to go on to win the championship.
Any rebuttals, Ray? Okay, guys, let's move on to open discussion. What topic do you have for us, Coach? Open discussion.
Well, online, I've been seeing a lot of individuals talk about certain topics. Of course, last week we talked about how Austin Rivers, he said he feel like he could take 30 NBA players out the NBA and they could transition seamlessly into the NFL. And then, of course, the previous week, we talked about, you know, the situation between Shaq and Shannon Sharp. However, for this open discussion topic, what do the Pelicans need to become a championship contender or to make a deep playoff run? Someone like myself, I feel the first thing they need is Zion and Brandon Ingram to stay healthy. To me, that seems like a difficult task or a difficult ask in this particular situation. And I think the next thing they need is a pure point guard. Maybe I think you should get an up and coming point guard. But even if some people floating around the idea of them bringing back Chris Paul, to me that would be a terrible idea. Because if I said he's in the twilight of his career, that'll be an understatement. So I think they need a point guard to facilitate the offense with Zion and Brandon Ingram. Instead of him initiating the offense, they need to finish it. So I think you need a pure point. I think maybe you can bring C.J. McCollum off the bench. So you got your pure point. You got Herb Jones. He needs to become a better three-point shooter in terms of catch and shoot shooter. Brandon Ingram stay healthy. Zion stay healthy. Work out the situation with Jonas Valanciunas in terms of his contract. I think you need to get another good young big. And then, of course, Alvarado, Larry Nance Jr. That's your energy off the bench. Then, of course, you got Trigger Trey Murphy. They have an extremely deep team, but I think they might need to move some of these young pieces to get the requisite pieces to get them over the top and win the championship. Because we see how a young player like Lively, how much he helps the Dallas Mavericks. I mean, his energy, his defense, his rebounding, those things are helping the Dallas Mavericks in this series and this playoff run. So, I think the Pelicans need to find them a couple good young pieces up, a good young five and a good young point guard. And I think that's the things they need. Besides Zion and Brandon Ingram being healthy, I think that's the things they need to get them over the top and become a championship contender.
Ray?
I mean, for the Pelicans, there were rumors. I don't know. The off season hasn't come yet that they could potentially like trade Brandon Ingram, to fulfill those needs of getting a point guard and I feel like they need a more athletic big. I like JV Jonas Valanciunas, but I feel like we just need a more athletic guard. Like I feel like a more athletic center, a center like Siakam, somebody like that, and pair them up with Zion. But in my personal opinion, I feel like we should keep Bi and keep Zion. It's not like Bi is a big question mark on what he is and who he is. It's like nah, Bi is we know who he is, and he's a very great player. I just feel like we give him. It's like they'll have a pretty decent season, or like a decent season to their standards, but a good season compared to like everybody else. But it's like in the playoffs, Bi really didn't look too great to me, and I feel like, well, a lot of times as fans, we don't remember what a player really is. We just remember like the last little version of what they were. So like the last little version of what we seen from Bi was him struggling against OKC, but I feel like Bi is still that great of a player. We just exactly like you were saying. We need to get us a point guard that could initiate the offense and where Zion can finish it, and somebody that could get somebody that's a point guard that could get Bi and Zion going. Cause like the way you watch it now, it's like Zion has to get himself going, and Bi has to get himself going. And CJ not that type of point guard where he's gonna really get players going, and it's not really that helpful when CJ can't really get going himself, when he really can't hit threes like talking about. But I feel like yeah, they do need a true point guard. They need a true point guard that could get both of them, both our star players going. And I feel like we need an athletic center, one that could catch Alice. Like somebody who I really like is Jackson Hayes. Not saying that we should bring Jackson Hayes back, but I feel like the type of center that we need is someone that has that type of athletic ability like Jackson Hayes, and still has that ball dominant strength and rebounding ability like Jonas Valanciunas. It's like we need and I feel like Siakam could be that type of center for us. Um, but who knows, ain't no telling how the off season is gonna go. But yeah, I do agree that's the main thing that we need. Because we even have perimeter shooters. You got Trey Murphy, somebody who they didn't really play too much in the series against OKC was Jordan Hawkins. I'm like that dude. The game I seen him in person when he played the Mavs when Bi and Zion was out, like he dropped 30. It had a bunch of Mavs fans around me, like who is that guy? You know what I'm saying? Like this dude came here and just dropped 30, and I remember the Pelicans won that game as well. Luka was out, but I think Kyrie was the only superstar that played in that game. And it basically, Kyrie was the superstar for the Mavs, obviously, for that game, but Jordan Hawkins was the superstar for us that game. And that really showed me like this dude could be like, a scorer. So I kind of feel like the Pelicans can move on from CJ, because the things that they're trying to get out of CJ scoring wise, we have a bunch of players on the bench coming off the bench that could do those things. But yeah, that's it. Unless y'all want me to bring up my open discussion.
You can go
Well,
right
before you
ahead,
jump into your
Ray.
open before you jump in your open discussion topic, let me kind of rebut first and foremost in terms of, I think we both agree that they need a good young pure point. I think Jose Alvarado is more of an energy six man off the bench. Him and Larry Nance Jr. They both are like energy guys off the bench that's really gonna get your second unit going. So you need a legit starting point guard. And in terms of Brandon Ingram, without having Zion, it was a bad matchup for him against uh the OKC Thunder, because you got Dort, you got these Williams players, they're not brothers, but they call them Williams brothers. So it was a bad matchup for him. He really couldn't get going. And CJ is not a point guard. He's more of a combo guard. Really, if you saw him and Dame Dollar play together in Portland, they both were more, hey, let's get buckets. They really weren't like facilitating combo guards. They were both, hey, we need to get it. We need to get out the mud in terms from a scoring standpoint. So he's more of a, to me, more of a shooting guard than he's a point guard. So you say you got other players that could fill his role. I disagree. If you make him the guy that's gonna get buckets off the bench, if you make him your scorer, you make Alvarado and Larry Nance Jr. and Trey Murphy. I'll make that my four guys coming off the bench, and then you get to your starting point guard, move Herb Jones. Essentially, Herb Jones and Brandon Ingram are both wing players. I think if Herb Jones could be more of a 3-and-D, well, he a lockdown defender. He could be a better shooter. If he could be more of a 3-and-D guy. And then lastly, you keep Zion and Bi healthy. In terms of the Jonas Valanciunas thing, uh, you right. He's a skill big, and you right from the standpoint they could use an athletic big. Pascal Siakam is really more of a combo forward. He's more of a small forward, power forward. Uh, I mean, in the days NBA, he could really play the 3 to 4 to 5, but he's really more of a 3-4 guy. To me, I think Derek Lively, the second for the Mavericks, he's the kind of five you really want. Like you say, defensively, he great. Athletically, he's a very good athlete. He moves his feet exceptionally well. He's a great rebounder. To me, you right from the standpoint they need a five. He'll be that guy, Derek Lively, the second for the Mavericks, or even maybe a like Allen for the Cavaliers. He
Jared.
would be Jared Allen. He would be that guy. So you right from that standpoint, but I don't think that's a reason to get rid of Jonas unless you're trying to, because because you already have Zion with his contract. You got Brandon Ingram. Unless you're trying to like shave some of that cap and you're trying to get below the luxury tax, then you move on from a Valanciunas or from a McCollum. But other than that, I think those two guys are veteran players that you need to get you to where you need to go.
Okay, go ahead, Ray. Give us your open discussion.
My open discussion is gonna be about sports, but it's not gonna be about real life sports. Um, I don't know if you heard about the news, Coach, but they got they they're making NC well they have made NCAA again, and they got a new NCAA coming out in early July. On the cover, instead of it having like one player, like all like the previous Heisman Trophy winner, they got like several different players. Um, but yeah, like just like the good old days, just playing NCAA, and stuff like that. That's something that I wanted to discuss, because man, a lot of people are hyped for this game. It's not made by the same people who make Madden because Madden is it's pure trash. I didn't even get Madden this year. Really didn't want to get Madden last year. I waited all the way until like Black Friday until like it was like on a super discounted rate where I could get it for like $20. Madden has been like pure trash for the past couple of years, and 2K is kind of taking the same path of being a copy and paste game. But all that being said, hearing a lot of good news about NCAA, and the things around NCAA. People have played NCAA in the past knows that none of the players' names were on the game because you could not pay players. So now in today's age, you have NIL, so a lot of the players' names are on there, and also I seen news on ESPN that the Power Five conferences all agreed to start paying their players as well. So I guess it's kind of all going to touch each other, pertaining to NCAA five coming out. I'm my thing is like, are you interested in getting it? Are you kind of excited for it? Or you just like don't care at this point in your life? And about about players like college athletes, getting paid, and I guess we could kind of touch on Nick Saban, why he retired because it's obvious, Nick Saban didn't retire because he's tired of coaching. You could tell he retired because he's not going to be able to control players or be able to go quote unquote guide players the way that he wants. It's kind of the money is we live in a day and age of where like money speaks now. So I feel like Nick Saban could partially be right. He could incredibly be right, or he could incredibly be wrong. Only time will tell.
In
And
terms
the
of
example and the example that Nick Saban used, basically was, when he would have players come, visit him and like all the recruiting stuff, the parents used to ask about, hey, how are you gonna coach and train up my kid? Instead of them asking that, now they're saying like, hey, how much you gonna pay us? Pretty much saying like they don't care about the characteristics and the actual development of their child, of the player. They only just care about the money. I know that's kind of like a lot, but I feel like it kind of touches in with everything a little bit. The NCAA the game and the NCAA playing players now.
Well, I would like to chime in real quick, Ray. And you did
Yeah, go ahead.
highlight a point that made something shed a different light. When you send your child to a school, players used to be focused on being groomed, perhaps even be groomed for the NFL if that's something they see themselves doing in the future. But once they put the money aspect there, kids were no longer focused on what could be my future, what I could potentially do, and they're focused on how much money I can make. So I think, and not just the players, but the families as well, because you they used to be preparing for their future versus, hey, what school could I go to get the most money, and that I can be uh, doing something right now versus worrying about the NFL or worrying about how much money I can make later on in the future. So that's something good that I want to highlight that you brought up. That is something to really think about, and that does draw you away from the game more so, because it's who is throwing out the most money versus who do I want to be groomed by, and and how does that groom my future. So that's something also to think about. Now, Madden, I've noticed something also, Madden is not where it used to be. That was something hot that kids were looking forward to, especially Coach. Coach used to look forward to that when it was coming out, but now I don't see the enthusiasm that people have for it like they used to. And maybe there's so many other things that it's out there to gain the distractions, or not distractions, but gain the attention of others, other games, other people, just people in general versus, versus Madden. So,
well,
Coach.
in terms of, let me start off with Madden. Madden over the years,
Madden and NCAA.
well, to me, I think it's pretty much with any game that's extremely popular. With me, you know, I've always been a guy in terms of like my video game selection is always been is always been a fighting game like a Street Fighter, like Mortal Kombat, and in addition to that, Madden. Hey, buddy, Madden 2K, Madden 2K, NBA Live. So at one point, NBA Live was the game for basketball, and then 2K replaced Live because Live got stagnant and complacent. And at a certain point, uh, NBA 2K took over NBA Live. Now, in terms of Madden, there was a point where I didn't play Madden like in the late 90s. It was NFL game day. But for the most part, the video game that I played the most was always, when it came to football and basketball, it was always Madden. Madden had years where it was really good, like I'm gonna say like maybe 2000. And to me, it was like a point like every other year it was an excellent game, like 2000, 2002. 04 was a phenomenal year. Like 08, 09 were like some excellent years. But other than that, Madden at this point, like King Ray said, it's copy and paste. I really, I played with my nephew. It's still good if you have somebody to play against it. Play against you with it. However, if you just playing like on your own, like I did when I was younger, it's not the same game. NCAA too kind of fell into that point. really got to the point where Rude Dog and I, we had the most fun when we played NCAA. When he would play NCAA, he would import his players on the Madden. To me, that was like the best of both worlds in terms of both Madden and NCAA. And in terms of like, Nick Saban, of course we know Nick Saban. We knew that the NIL had a huge factor in, him no longer being a college coach and him retiring. We know the NIL played a major deal into that, but with the college aspect of it, it's twofold. From one standpoint, you got a situation where, you had NCAA basketball games back in the gap where players who won a game, Ed O'Bannon, using his name and likeness, and he wasn't getting compensated for that. And then now you got NIL player where, they're getting compensated for their name and likeness, and then certain players not being compensated at all, and other players being overcompensated. Because, the Shador Sanders situation, I'm sorry, Shador Shiloh, one of them, their NIL situation has kind of been something that's been talked about a lot with the bankruptcy. But at the end of the day, it's a double-edged sword. On one end, you don't want players being on video games and not being compensated at all. And then in another instance, you don't want players, making millions of dollars before they even get to the NFL or NBA or whatever. So at the end of the day, it's kind of a double-edged sword. But in terms of Saban, I think Saban just was upset because he had a competitive advantage, and that competitive advantage went away when the NIL disappeared. I mean, when that NIL emerged.
Okay, any other open discussion, guys? Okay, let's move on to fact or cap. Do you have a fact or cap for us, Ray?
Uh, I could think on right quick. I could spit one out just like that.
Go right
Fact
ahead.
or cap? This is for Coach, but of course, Kim, you can answer too as well. Fact or cap? Wait, let me ask you this before I ask you this. Did you see the news about the 5 versus 5 boxing match with Crawford and Canelo?
No, I saw the news that basically Canelo didn't want no smoke with Crawford, but I mean that's a reoccurring theme.
So
Canelo, he
that
wants to get the most money he can make and not fight no real competition. I mean that's part of the reason why I don't like the sport of boxing, because they give people
that's
like
the
him.
fact of cap, Coach. Hold on, I don't want you to go too far
All
into it.
right, all right, all right.
Fact of cap, do you think that that card? Because when I was looking at that card, I'm like, dude, if this card happens, that card could be like one of the greatest cards like ever seen. Because you will have some very big names on that card. So fact of cap, do you think that card like that yeah, basically, do you think that card could get done?
I mean, Turkey Al has a lot of money, but Canelo don't want no smoke, so I say cap personally. I'm coming, buddy.
And I guess to put it in simpler terms, Kim, do you think that factor cap? Do you think that a mega, not a mega fight, but a mega card could happen in boxing? Now, to give my point of view, the UFC has done it already several times. They recently just did it for UFC 300. They had like 5 fights that were technically like main event. I ain't gonna say technically, they were main event fights. Like each of the 5 fights on the main card could have easily and should have been its own main event, but it wasn't. And Dana White put all of them on the main card, even the undercard, even the prelims was like potential like title fights and stuff like that. Like, do you think boxing could do something on that magnitude eventually?
I think eventually, I think Turkey Al Sheikh, His Excellency, he doing an excellent job, because with this 5-on-5 tournament with Zilly Big Bang Zhang and the Bronze Bomber Deontay Wilder, I mean, it's a step in the right direction. I mean, you got to realize for a lot of these events, especially for this upcoming event, and even with the event with Crawford, I mean, they got the tickets are like affordable, and not only with the boxing component, like he's doing a live concert with it, and I'm talking about a premium concert. So I think it's getting to the point where Even though I was high on PBC, because I'm all for black entrepreneurship, the PBC really, they're trying to be like a lot of these other companies. I talk about this all the time. 7-8 is a big proponent of that. When it comes to black people, we have to start worrying about being fair. And the issue we had, is boxing fans, is we we would never cater to in terms of our power when it came to the dollar in terms of our fan base. They don't appeal to black boxing fans, and we thought the PBC was going to do that. However, it's obvious at this point that the PBC really didn't do that. And then on top of that, fighters like Wilder, they're leaving the PBC. So really, all they have is Spence, Fundora, Crawford. They have a few guys, Caleb Plant. But other than that, the PBC is not what it once was. But the way Kirk and Alashik is changing the game, I think we're gonna get to a point where we're gonna get those mega cards, and we're gonna see like multiple main event caliber fights on one card, or main event caliber fighters on one card. So I think the state of boxing is gonna get to that. I think that component of it is a fact. But I think somebody like Canelo, fighters like Tank Davis, basically these fighters, they want a bag, but they want hand-pick opponents. That's why, even though I really want Frank Martin to stop Tank Davis, because I don't like the way Tank Davis, is appealing to Ryan Garcia. I want Frank to stop him, but it's gonna be an uphill battle because, if Tank Davis fighting him, he has an excellent matchmaking team, so they see something in Frank that they feel they could exploit. So when you got fighters like Tank Davis and Canelo and Ryan Garcia, they don't want to fight nobody, because more than anything, they worry about the laws. They're not worried about fighting the best possible competition. So he would have to. I don't think he have enough money for guys like that. Even a guy like Anthony Joshua, I don't think he has enough money. But the fighters that want the smoke, like the Crawfords, the Wilders, the Devin Haney's, I think he could put a super card together with those type of caliber fighters.
Something that you did say, which I feel like that would be some good to bring to boxing, which not too many other. I mean, sports they do it like the NBA and the NFL do it for the Super Bowl, but like performances, like imagine like all these celebrities always coming to boxing matches. Now imagine if you got somebody that's like somebody like one of these famous rappers or singers that might come to the boxing match, but they actually performing, not.
And Ray, that you took the words out of my mouth, but I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, it's fine. A lot of people they'll won't go to the Super Bowl just to see Taylor Swift or Beyonce perform. Now imagine the same thing with boxing. Imagine if you get somebody like, whoever, they got all these singers out now. Like imagine you get somebody like Ariana Grande to perform. Now you might have some people who don't typically go to boxing matches or watch a boxing, go into a boxing match, just to see one of their favorite singers perform. While they're at the boxing match, they see a good boxing fight and all of a sudden become a fan.
Yeah, and that's the thing. If you want to pull individuals who are no longer normally a fan and bring in the money, that's what you do. You gain the attention of music lovers that may not be a sports fan. Coach, any other factor cap for you?
All right, in terms of my factor cap question, I saw a question topic where they were talking about the Saints in the NFC South and the fact that the Bucks really aren't a stable NFC South team, and they talked about that. In addition to that, they also talked about Derek Carr. We know he's not a franchise caliber quarterback, and basically was saying the NFC South is wide open, and a few of the people, based on what they saw in the rookie minicamp, they pretty much picked the Saints to win the NFC South. So factor cap, the New Orleans Saints are going to win the NFC South.
Um,
Cap.
as bad as I want to say Cap, because we said the exact same thing last year that the NFC South was wide open and it was for the Saints. Like everybody had the Saints win the NFC South, but we seen how that went. Um, I'm gonna continue to give grace because I'm gonna just give him the benefit of the doubt that it was his first year in a new franchise. So I'll say it's fact. It's a possibility. I'm not gonna say that the Saints have no chance in winning the South. Why will I get my hopes up again for them winning the South? No, but I could low key say it's a it's a fact. But I kind of think at the end of the season, Derek Carr not giving B.I. starting quarterback. I'm looking for Spencer Rattler to take over and become that surprise underdog franchise quarterback, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean he did well in rookie minicamp. I don't see him being ready to take the baton that quick. Uh, I agree the NFC South is wide open in terms of them winning the NFC South is up in the air. I would say them winning the NFC South is a possibility. I would say fact because truthfully speaking, with Michael Penix Jr. and that situation with the Falcons, you already got a quarterback controversy. Uh, you know, it already in itself. Because to me, if you were going to draft Penix, you could have just got a stopgap player like a Jameis Winston instead of, you know, basically hedging your bets at the same position. To me, you putting too much money into the quarterback position in terms of the the Bucks. I mean, to me, I think it was an anomaly type season for Baker Mayfield. Uh, in terms of the Panthers, they too young of a team, and Derek Carr, you know, there's this saying when a person shows you who they are, believe them. He's showing us that he's been this guy with the Raiders. So that's why I didn't understand why so many people were adamant that he was going to be a franchise guy. I never saw him as being that. But the NFC South is wide open, and I think it's a strong possibility they could win it. So I'm gonna go with fact. I think they really could win the NFC South. But I'm like King Ray say, I'm not getting my hopes up. I'm not betting on it, but I think it's a strong possibility.
Now, I'm not saying that they don't have the potential. I mean, if they get the right pieces in place, that they can perhaps win it. But with the coaching that they have in place right now, if they don't move that, they will not. So that's why I say cap, because you have to make the right decisions at the right time. If you see your player out there not doing the right things for the team as well as uh just overall, I mean, just for the whole franchise, I mean, how can you expect for them to lead them to a championship as well as the NFC South? I mean, I don't foresee that because with the coach, I mean, he doesn't make the right decisions to me. That's why I say cap.
Yeah, Dennis
Now,
Allen and Derek Carr is a bad combination.
yes, and then we have to also keep in mind, and that's why I don't. Uh, if you look at where, if you look at where Drew Brees was, you know, a lot of people counted Drew Brees out, so that's why I'm not counting him out because he probably has more that can perhaps come out, but uh, you won't know till you see it.
Well, I mean, the difference in the two situations was when Drew Brees left the Chargers for the Saints, he was coming off a rotator cuff injury, and basically they had already drafted Phillip Rivers, and basically it was a lot of unknowns with Drew Brees. They wasn't going, uh, basically they wasn't gonna do like the Falcons are doing in this situation, and they weren't gonna hedge their bets. Put two quarterbacks. You wasn't gonna put that much money into the quarterback position, so that's the reason why people counted Drew Brees out. But Drew Brees was a solid, extremely solid quarterback leading up to that point, and then you put him in New Orleans with Sean Payton and the right weapons around him. He became a franchise guy. But he showed he was capable of it. I've never seen at no point in Derek Carr's career when he was with the Raiders that he had the potential to be that. Now, don't get me wrong, I was wrong about Breeze when he was in San Diego because I thought it really was Antonio Gates and LaDainian Thompson that carried him, but I was wrong. Because when he came to New Orleans, he showed he was that guy. But when it came to Carr, I've never seen no inkling of him being a Drew Brees type guy. At this point, I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't. I think him being a Drew Brees type franchise quarterback is too high a bar for him. At this point, I would take a prime Jeff Blake version of Derek Carr. If he could be what Jeff Blake was at his prime as a Saint, I'll be cool with that. But I don't even think he's capable of that, to be truthful, because he's too inconsistent.
Okay, well, let me ask this question since we're on those financial questions. Fact or cap? Let's start with you, Ray. Fact or cap? Do you think the Saints make irrational decisions when it comes down to finances? Because I see what they bid it on Derek Carr to get them to come to the Saints. You know how much money they put on him, as well as how much money they allow for Dennis Allen to be uh, coach. And there are some other decisions that they made that probably weren't the best financial decisions. Factor cap. Do you think they don't make the best decisions when it comes down to their finances?
In real life, y'all know they haven't been making payments on the Superdome, huh? They've been missing their past couple of payments.
Wow, no, I did not know that.
Yeah, I don't know if that's a thing where it's like the state and the organization take turns, but like, yeah, the past couple of payments were missed. So I guess that go to speak for itself, but it depends on how you look at it. If you consider it if you consider that friend who has horrible credit but could always get what they need to be good finances, then that would perfectly fit the Saints, because the Saints are always in the cap penalty, but they always get themselves out and they always come into the season with exactly what they need. But they always in debt. So it's kind of like that person who got a house, got two cars and got all this stuff, but they in financial and credit debt. That's how I view the Saints. So I kind of would say it's like, yeah, the Saints know how to manipulate the cap to get what they want and to fix things to get themselves out of cap trouble. But every offseason, you always see the in cap trouble, like with a bunch of they behind in cap space and stuff like that. So it's kind of like that one person who's bad with money, but they know how to make money work, if that makes sense.
Yes, that makes a lot of sense. Coach, what are your thoughts?
Well, truthfully speaking, when it comes to the NFL salary cap, it's not just the Saints with the issues. Is like most of the NFL, because you got to realize the NFL is not like the NBA. The NBA has uh, a soft cap, meaning you can exceed the cap and you could go into what's called the luxury tax. The NFL has a hard cap. That's why you see every year you see NFL teams cutting players. Be like, hey, this guy, he's a star player. He's not the superstar he once was, but he's still a star player. And you have teams cutting these players. That's the reason being because because NFL has a hard cap. So it's not necessarily a reflection.
I think we lost coach's reception. He may be having reception problems. Coach, are you there?
Hello.
Okay. So but Ray, I understand, and I did not know that. That was an interesting tidbit fact that you just gave us. But something I do know that has come to the forefront is with the Chiefs, if the Chiefs are going to stay in St. Louis or not. And that is something I really want to see what will happen if the Chiefs decide if they're going to go to Dallas or if they're going to move into another market, because I don't see too many other markets that will be able to be able to handle them. What other market do you foresee the Chiefs could go to other than to Dallas?
Me personally, I kind of feel like the Chiefs could go to Oklahoma. You know, I feel like I don't think Oklahoma has ever had an NFL team, and based off of how they support the Oklahoma Thunders, based off of how they support the Oklahoma Sooners and the Oklahoma State. I believe it's the Cowboys, but no, it's not Oklahoma State Cowboys. I know their mascot is like a cowboy, but I forgot what Oklahoma State mascot really is. I know they orange and black, but like Oklahoma could Oklahoma, I feel like could support an NFL team, and then the Chiefs that kind of matches that mascot matches that type of vibe in that area because they did have a lot of Native Americans in Oklahoma and stuff like that. Oklahoma does have like you notice with Texas and like Oklahoma, it has that cowboy type of mascot vibe. You got the Texas
Yes.
like the Texas Longhorns and got the Dallas Cowboys. So like you put the Chiefs right there in Oklahoma, I feel like that would be a good start. I actually now that I'm thinking, I feel like that would be like a great place. I feel like that's like one of the last few places that could support an NFL team that doesn't have one. So I feel like that would be a good potential place for the Chiefs to go. And like I feel like that probably could expand Jared Jones because Oklahoma and Texas right there. Oklahoma is literally on top of Texas. you know. So that won't get in the way of like Dallas fans having to choose like, okay, do we change to become Chiefs fans? Do we support both? And like Oklahoma is not too far from Kansas City as well, so I feel like Oklahoma would be a great
Yes, that is
place.
right there, Ray. And I see we do have Coach back. Coach, what were your thoughts? I'm sorry because we lost you.
Basically, what I was saying is that it's not the fact that the Saints do a poor job in terms of from a financial standpoint in terms of the salary cap. The NFL and the NBA have two different salary structures, whereas the NFL there's a hard cap, meaning you can't exceed the hard cap. So that's why you see every year teams cut like good players. You're like, hey, why did they cut that guy? He might not be the player that he once was, but they cut him. The reason being is because teams can't afford to exceed the hard cap. Whereas in the NBA, you can exceed the hard cap and you can go into what's called the luxury tax. So the NBA doesn't have a hard cap; they have a soft cap. So that's the reason why you see NBA teams way over the salary cap because they have a soft cap. You can exceed it, whereas the NFL have a hard cap and you can't. So that's the reason why you have uh, you have teams like the Saints. It's not just the Saints; it's most of the league where year in and year out teams are struggling to get under the salary cap. And in terms of Derek Carr, the reason why they gave Derek Carr the amount of money they gave him, like King Ray was saying last year around this time, basically that's what the quarterback market allowed in terms of teams are going to overpay for quarterbacks. So that's the reason why. I mean, of course, it's a double edged sword with the quarterback situation, but that's the reason why the the Saints constantly in the cap situation they're in is because the NFL has a hard salary cap and the NBA doesn't. So it's not necessarily the fact that the Saints they do a terrible job in terms of managing the cap. It's more of a situation of the NFL has a hard cap, and the reason why the Saints paid Derek Carr so much money and the Falcons paid Kirk Cousins so much money is because that's what the quarterback market for quarterbacks is. I mean, teams need quarterbacks badly. So that's the reason why you have a team like the Falcons pay Kirk Cousins so much money, and then they turn around and draft Michael Penix Jr. I understand why they gave Kirk Cousins so much money, considering he coming off an injury. But we also just talked about Drew Brees coming off the injury. He came off when he came to the Saints. So of course,
And
Kirk
not
Cousins.
just that, but Kirk Cousins, I didn't foresee him. I mean, he has had some potential to do a little something, but not go exceedingly as far just as the Browns had what is his name? Oh shoot,
Baker
who
Mayfield.
said Baker Mayfield? I can't foresee Baker Mayfield doing anything else. Baker Mayfield is he's been in at been with five teams in the last maybe about 6 7 years
Well,
or so. I'm
I
giving
mean,
him that, but I don't think it's that long.
well, truthfully speaking, I feel like this past season was a anomaly for Baker Mayfield. I think the reason why he was drafted so high and teams thought the Browns thought he was going to be so great was but based on what he did in college. He hasn't shown he could do that in the NFL except for this 1 year with the Bucks. So I don't expect him to have a repeat performance of what he did the previous season. And in terms of Derek Carr, I mean Derek Carr, I didn't see that. I didn't see him being a franchise guy when he was with the Raiders. And in terms of Kirk Cousins, I mean, he's won one playoff game, and if you look at the amount of guaranteed money he's got significantly more guaranteed money than Cam Newton did in his playing career. So at the end of the day, I mean, certain quarterbacks get the benefit of the doubt, whereas other quarterbacks don't, especially if you have the complexion for the protection. So, it's that type of scenario, it's that type of situation, but that's the reason why the Saints find themselves constantly in the cap situation they're in because the NFL has a hard cap. And a lot of times you have to cut good players to get below that hard cap threshold. But in terms of the Kansas City Chiefs, I think if they do move, which I don't think they will, maybe they won't. I think the right place for them would be Dallas because, I mean, don't get me wrong. I know most Dallas Cowboy fans are going to stay loyal, but as long as they have Patrick Mahomes and he's healthy, the Chiefs are going to be a perennial Super Bowl contender. So, I mean, I'm going to be truthful. I'd rather have the Chiefs than the Cowboys if I was a fan base. That's just my personal opinion.
Okay, guys.
Wait,
Anything else?
hold on. You saying from like a Dallas fan perspective that they would rather have the Chiefs over the Cowboys?
No, what I was saying is they would support the Cowboys over the Chiefs, but if you just on the outside looking in, if you had to choose between supporting one of those two teams, as a non-Cowboys fan, which team would
Uh,
you rather support?
okay, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
Yeah, if I had to pick one, like of course yeah, I'm gonna go for the Chiefs because they got the most success,
yeah,
and
that's my
and
point.
they're the least obnoxious.
Yeah, and then not only that, but I mean, don't get me wrong. We know the die-hard Cowboy fans. Of course, you have die-hard Cowboy fans in the state of Louisiana, and I'm not just talking about North Louisiana, like in Shreveport, Monroe, and those type of areas. I'm
South
talking about you have
Louisiana.
hardcore. Yeah, I mean, you have hardcore fans here in South Louisiana. So at the end of the day, the Cowboys they living off of past success in the '70s and in the '90s. They're a brand more than anything, and some people just gonna support that more than anything. But if you're looking at recent success, man, hey, I would much rather support the Chiefs than the Cowgirls.
You're right. I agree.
Anything else, guys?
That's it for me.
Let's move on to what potentially, because we have talked about the NFL. Guys, do you have anything else that you look forward to for the NFL upcoming football season?
Well, I answered this question last week, so throw to King Ray, and we also like to get King Ray's thoughts on besides NFL storylines and just stuff in the NFL you looking forward to in general. What did he think of the Saints draft? And what did he think of the Saints rookie minicamp?
Um, I mean the Saints draft. I did. I was. I like that they got Kool Aid, that cornerback from Alabama. They got somebody else. They got Spencer Rattler, but man, they got somebody else.
Were you
Who,
talking about the offensive lineman, Fuaga?
no, not him. I already knew they was gonna get an offensive lineman in the first round. They drafted somebody else that was like really good.
You talking about Bub Means, wide receiver?
No, I'm probably thinking of the cornerback, but I could have swore it was like
Kool-Aid
somebody.
McKinstry, yeah. I mean, Kool-Aid McKinstry, Fuaga, Spencer Rattler, Bub Means, that's really like the kind of highlight players of the Saints 2024 draft class.
Right. But I mean, I was satisfied. I really didn't pay attention to the rookie mini camp because all that is just them running a bunch of drills and workouts and like how many passes can you complete in like 10 attempts. Like I really don't pay attention to training camp and stuff like that no more. I really start horning in like during the preseason, like once you actually facing competition. But as from what I can remember, I was really satisfied and I felt good about the Saints draft. But as far as like any NFL news, I haven't really seen any NFL news that really like piqued my interest or like caught my attention, like talking about.
Let me ask you this, guys. What are your thoughts about the first NFL game upcoming? That will be the the Chiefs and the Ravens. What are your thoughts? Let's start with you, Ray.
You said so. You said the first game was going to be the Chiefs and the Ravens for the season.
Yes, it's gonna be September the 5th on a Thursday night,
I don't
and
know
it's
what
gonna be
happened.
in, they say, in Kansas City.
So what happened with that game that was supposed to be in Brazil? I thought the season was going to open up in Brazil or something like that.
I'm
Yeah,
unsure.
But I mean, I know the NFL likes to do that as well, like with the Super Bowl rematch games, but it's not the same. Um, I mean, never like that one team really not gonna be the same team as last year. It's really like the star players, Patrick Mahomes going against the 49ers and stuff like that as well. Well, going against Brock Purdy. But I mean, I'm not too. I mean, wait, you said the Ravens. I'm thinking of the 49ers. Lamar Jackson. Um, so yeah, disregard everything I said with the Super Bowl. But man, I don't even want to go back down that memory lane because I really wanted Lamar Jackson to go to the Super Bowl. Uh,
So did
they,
I.
but they, yeah. But I feel like it'll be a good kickoff to the season. Two highly regarded quarterbacks would I would say have two very large fan bases. There's a lot of kids that like Lamar Jackson and want to be like Lamar, like Lamar. And a lot of people love Mahomes, especially around here. Going back to the Chiefs, potentially could be a Oklahoma team. Patrick Mahomes played at Texas Tech, so a lot of people that went to Texas Tech and are Texas Tech alumni are like Patrick Mahomes fans. So you put him right there in Oklahoma, you have a lot of people, that's in the state of Texas that'll be willing to, root for Mahomes. But yeah, getting back on subject, man. I mean, I don't really get too hyped about it. I feel like it's gonna be a good game. Especially to open up the season. But I feel like a game like this would be even better if it was in like week 9 or week 10, because when you first start off the season, that's when teams either try to resume the stride or like find a stride and stuff like that. A lot of teams not at their peak or at their best.
Coach, what are your thoughts?
well, I understand, what you're saying, Kay. Basically that's what she's saying. Like, what storylines are we looking forward to coming into this coming season? And I understand what the NFL is trying to do. They're trying to give you like a Super Bowl preview type matchup with the Ravens and the Chiefs. It's something they do every year. Uh, I mean, it's good business because you want to start off the season on a hot note in a big prime time type game. You want to start the season off with a bang. But like King Ray said, I really don't put too much stock in a rookie mini camp, a training camp. And even, don't get me wrong, is a is an NFL fan and a fan of football in general. You look forward to the start of the season, but like if you look like King Ray was saying, if you look at like the Super Bowl matchup between the 49ers and the Ravens, that was more of a game that people was clamoring about than maybe the game that started off the season. So I understand you want to start the season off with a bang, but I think a game of that magnitude maybe playing that game around Christmas, like they did Christmas night with the Ravens and the Chiefs. I'm sorry, the Ravens and the 49ers. Or maybe playing that same particular game like around the start of the new year or something like that. I think it'll give it more legs and more meaning. But I understand them trying to start the season off with a bang. But like King Ray was saying, I mean, early in the season, you look forward to seeing how the season gonna start, but you can't put too much stock in a matchup that early in the year because you don't know how teams are gonna look coming into the season.
Okay, anything else you guys will have about the NFL or the Saints or any potential NFL team? Okay, guys. So let's take this time out. What became my favorite part of the show, the shout outs. We want to give shout outs to Jared 011 Green, Soul Power, aka Gamed Up, Kennels,
Kennels, yeah.
J Bar, Main Event Mark, hashtag 125. We want to send shout out to Joseph Townsend. Shout out to Motivation to Be a Millionaire. Shout out to Relaxing Calm Rain. And shout out to anyone that we did not shout out today. Thank you all. Much
I think you made a mistake and mute yourself.
Maybe our
shout out
signal just
these
kind of went
guys
out for a second.
that they are showing on their channels. Please shout out these guys: Relaxing Calm Rain, Motivation to Be a Millionaire, Joseph Townsend, Jared 011 Green, Main Event Mark, J Bar, and Soul Power, aka Gamed Up Kennels. So, guys, thank you for your love and support, and much love to you. Guys, any other shout outs that you want to send shout outs to?
Of course, I want give a special shout out to the Southern Baller Show. To my brother Jared Loving Green, to my brother Big Joe Townsend. Also, major shout out to the brother Brent Fox, and just the LDBC in general. Gained Up Kennels, Main Event Mark. All our LDC brethren. We want to give a special shout out to Jaguar Nation and just people that just been rocking with us since day one, like Relaxing Conrain, Motivation to Be a Millionaire.
All right,
Special
coach,
shout out.
those are the ones we called out.
No. But I'm saying these are the people that shout us. I mean, that people that rock with us week in and week out. And I just kind of want to go above and beyond and let y'all know we appreciate y'all and peace and blessings to all of y'all for y'all continued love and support.
Yes, yes. Much love to you guys. So let's let's swing it to Ray. Ray, tell the guys how they can follow you. Please like, subscribe, and share his channels. Go ahead, Ray.
Y'all can see my Instagram. That's the first bulletin, and the second is my YouTube channel. I go like, subscribe, follow, support, view, watch my content that I have on there. If you need a message or if you like music, definitely check out, any one of my platforms. And what I'm but yeah, just appreciate everybody who tuned in today, who supports the pod, the podcast, Bayou Sports Talk, and just shout out to the list of everyone, that they just called out, big shout out to y'all, continue to support us and as we continue to grow together.
All right, coach. And guys, please like, subscribe, share coach's content as well. Coach, tell them how they can follow you.
Well, you could catch me at Coach 67 Sports TV on all social media platforms. I have a Coach 67 Sports TV Facebook group now. You can catch me on TikTok, on X, which is formerly known as Twitter, on Instagram, on all social media platforms. However, I'm primarily here on YouTube. Tomorrow, you could catch me on my brother Jared 11 Green's show, the Southern Baller Show, with him, his twin JB, myself, Brent Fox, Big Joe Townsend. Occasionally, the homie Jay Good, he on there too. Occasionally, the homie Cadillac Red Supreme Beast Boxing Talk, he's on there. So check us out. The show time has been varying lately. Sometimes it's 3:30. Sometimes it's 7:30. Lately, it's been at 3:30. So check us out tomorrow. Also, later on today, I'm supposed to drop uh, a Southern University video. And lastly, I'm trying to angle to bring a couple more big things to the channel. So stay tuned in. I got something big that I'm working on personally, and also I'm trying to lock down an interview with one particular individual. So y'all check us out. We appreciate y'all love and support. I'll catch y'all on the rebound. Peace and blessings to everyone.
All right, guys. And for our closing quote, life is not a spectator sport. If you're going to spend your whole life in the grandstand just watching what goes on, in my opinion, you're wasting your life. That was by Jackie Robinson. Guys, we love you. We thank you. We appreciate your time and your support. So please like, subscribe, share, tell someone about Bayou Sports Talk. See you next time. Bye bye. Much love.